All right. So we ready? We'll call the meeting to order at 5:01, and I'm joined by members Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Wallner, Mr. Schultz, Mrs. Gonzalez, and Mr. Studo's with us. And our public safety director and our town administrator is with us, and we're convening for purposes of reviewing applications for expanded services, liquor license expanded services. And for anyone joining us from the public, this is not a public hearing where we typically would take public comment. There are some executive orders and ABCC guidelines and special legislation in place that permits the select board to entertain applications for expansion of services of liquor licensed establishments in the community, provided that everything is appropriately signed off by inspectional services. And that's the purpose for us to convene, is to allow these establishments to have outdoor services, because right now, due to COVID-19, they're prohibited, at least in this space, from having any indoor dining. So with that said, why don't we turn it over to you, Mr. Gilberto? I believe we have a number of applications that the board is aware have already been vetted and approved by our public safety director. If you just wanted to give a brief rundown on those for us, where the area of service is, and you know, what other conditions may have been requested by the public safety director or other inspectional services.
Sure, thank you. And the police chief public safety director is on with us as well. We received 8 applications over the course of Sunday, Monday, and today here in town. Of those 8, we had one which was not complete. So we referred it back to the applicant and asked them to provide us additional detail, and we are awaiting that additional detail. So that brought us down to 7, which are identified in a report of the public safety director dated today. It's an email that he provided me late this afternoon that addresses the 7 remaining applications. Of those 7, there was one that was withdrawn. That's Andrea's Pizza, due to the owner's concerns regarding liability in the parking lot. So the board's not being asked to take action on that one. And then there was a second one of those 7, Nan's Cafe. They had applied for the ability to put some seating on the sidewalk in the area, but unfortunately the sidewalk is just not wide enough to safely accommodate the table, never mind the table and any potential pedestrian traffic that might be there. And so I believe that the inspectional services folks were out at the site today, and they did identify an alternative, which could be in the small parking lot to the left of the building as you're facing it. And we are expecting a subsequent application from them, although at this point I don't believe we received it. That brings us down to the 5 that are before you this evening, which we believe are ready for approval, and we've prepared a motion accordingly. I'll go through them very quickly, and if the police chief has anything to add, he can certainly speak up. Horseshoe Grill, that location had an existing outdoor dining area, and that was inspected by the health department, and it opened for lunch yesterday. They are asking for an additional location to the rear of the property in a tent to be added for outdoor dining space on a temporary basis, and that location has been approved by the inspectional services departments. Joe Fish, that location is looking to have a tent set up. It has set up a tent for outdoor dining on the front side of the building. So if you can picture between the restaurant itself and the main street itself, they've erected a tent that they are looking to have temporary outdoor dining put in. They don't have any other outdoor dining at this point in time at that site. Dos Lobos has an existing permitted patio that was part of its predecessor, the Great American Tavern. That's right along the entryway. That opened for dinner yesterday, and there was an application we received for a tent that would be in the parking lot adjacent to that area. So not in the driveway, but on the rear parking lot from the property. That has been reviewed. For both Joe Fish and for Dos Lobos, there's an outstanding regulatory matter, and it's just relative to the weighting of the tents so that they can withstand the 90 mile per hour wind possibility. And we are told that later this evening, those ballasts will be delivered, and we hope to be able to sign off for the expansion of that from a regulatory standpoint tomorrow morning. For kiddies, they don't have anything set up at this point, and at this point they are not looking to use a tent, but they are looking to use Jersey barriers to identify an area on the northern side of the building itself, kind of between the building and the Heritage Building. I may have spoken with some of the board members earlier about a location on the donut shop side of that, but that's not where they're looking to put it. They're looking to put it on the other side, as I understand it. Do I have that right, Chief?
Yeah, they did. They were looking at actually put it on both sides, but when we did go there, we talked about expanding the northern side. So they just thought it would be too difficult to have both sides open. So.
Okay, great. And then the final, so Kitty's was a location that, it does not require a tent, but is pending for the expansion of the outdoor dining. And then Mario's, which has a small indoor dining area, they are looking to add three tables, in the walkway of the plaza, not on the sidewalk, right up against the building. And they've actually, they put quite an effort in to establish that new area on that site. And it was reviewed and approved. So really, these 5 locations we believe are ready for approval from the select board, with the 2 that are subject to the regulatory issues, and Kitty's being subject to the follow-up inspection since nothing is set up. But an item that did come up was the certificates of insurance, which, Madam Chair, I know you identified, and I identified very late in the day as well. So we received certificates, although they were not correct certificates. And so we've just now sent the board members a motion via email that would call for that to be a specific condition that would be outlined. And we expect they could all provide those certificates of insurance first thing tomorrow morning and be ready to open for lunch or dinner, assuming everything else is all set. So the certificate needs to stipulate both for outdoor dining, which a couple of them did provide, or for liquor liability as well. In it, and also name the town an additional insured. So those are the requirements that, as I understood them.
Mr. Gilberto, name
Yes.
the town as an additional insured if it's on town property or
So-
town sidewalk, not if it's on private, it's on private property.
So they've all identified the town as an additional insurer without having been asked to on the certificates. We just extended that same request. None of them are looking to use public property at this point, although Nan's, depending upon the actual layout, it may be on the sidewalk, right, Chief?
There's no, it's actually a driveway up there, so I think but it's going to be close to the street.
Yeah, and again, with that application is not pending before you this evening because they're going to resubmit.
Okay. So they did provide insurance information, it just wasn't related to the expanded services area.
Correct. 2 provided certificates of insurance for the tent company. 1 provided a certificate of insurance that did not stipulate outdoor seating, and 2 provided it not stipulating liquor liability.
Okay. I'm sorry, Chief Murphy, you had your hand up as well.
I just wanted to just add to the summary of the town administrator. So Kitty's did mention that they may apply at some point in the future for a tent. They're going to kind of play it by ear, see how things go. So I just want to let the board know that it's a potential that they could apply for a tent.
Okay. Members have any questions? Mr. O'Leary?
Just a comment that I appreciate the administration's efforts to address this in a timely fashion, a very quick fashion. It's just been put upon them rather quickly, and I appreciate their rapid response and willingness to work with the applicants. I think it's to be applauded for that.
Okay. Mr. Wallner, any questions or comments? No? Mr. Schultz, any questions or comments?
No, I'm just happy to see all these restaurants getting up and running, and echo Steve's comments. Thank you for the administration for making it happen so quickly.
And Mrs. Gonzalez, any questions or comments?
I think we're all in agreement that we're just happy to see this moving forward quickly and get everybody open.
Great. Okay, so do we have a motion? I think we have separated out motions just so the members are aware. I have my daughter actually works at Dos Lobos, so I have to not recuse myself, but abstain from a vote or a deliberation on that one. So I think it was separated out, right, Mr. Gilberto?
So we separated Dos Lobos and Joe Fish because of the common ownership. So there's two
Okay.
motions.
All right, all right. So, Mr. O'Leary, you want to take over?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, actually, you can do the first motion, Madam
All
Chair.
right.
Go for it.
Can I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve applications for temporary outdoor dining for the following businesses subject to all regulatory department requirements and receipt of a certificate of insurance identifying outdoor dining and liquor liability. Horseshoe Grill, Kitty's Restaurant, Mario's Restaurant. Okay.
Second.
You got to finish reading the motion. There's still some more.
He's ready to go eat.
To be valid through November 1st, 2020, or until the governor's COVID-19 order number 35, issued June 1st, 2020, is rescinded, whichever is sooner, at which point restaurants shall revert to the original licensed premises.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr.
and
Gilberto.
my connection, which is on my cell phone here, it cut out for a moment. Is that the motion we sent that includes the reference to certificate of insurance?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I did just cut out for a second.
Okay. So I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion by Mrs. Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Schultz. And any deliberation? Seeing none. Mr. O'Leary,
Aye.
Mr. Wallner,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez,
Aye.
and Manu Pelley is aye. And then, Mr. O'Leary, I'm going to step away.
Turn the gavel over to me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the next action for the board to take is an additional motion to approve application for outdoor dining for Joe Fish and Dos Lobos and Mrs. Gonzalez.
Madam Chair, sorry,
That's okay.
Mr. Chair.
Sorry about that.
I move to approve applications for outdoor dining for the following businesses, subject to all regulatory department requirements and receipt of a certificate of insurance identifying outdoor dining and liquor liability. Joe Fish, Dos Lobos, to be valid through November 1st, 2020, or until the governor's COVID-19 order number 35, issued June 1st, 2020, is rescinded, whichever is sooner, at which point restaurants shall revert to their original licensed premises.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Wallner.
Motion by Mrs. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Wallner. Is there any further discussion or input, questions from members of the board?
Just a quick question.
Yep, Mr. Wallner.
Just on that first line, the previous one was for temporary outdoor dining, and this one says for outdoor dining. Just the word temporary isn't there. Is that just an oversight?
It is.
Does it matter?
It is, and I believe it should say temporary outdoor dining.
Okay, so
let the record show that the motion will include the word temporary outdoor dining. It was omitted as a Scrivener's error.
also, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or input from members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Again, Mrs. Manupelli will be abstaining. So Mrs. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Mr. Wallner,
Aye.
and Mr. O'Leary votes aye. Mrs. Manupelli, abstain, correct?
Yes, correct.
So be it, and forever hold our peace, and let's go get something to eat.
So just so the board is, we will mobilize if we have some additional licenses. We do expect to, if we do have the expectation, we can also hear those on Monday, but we're trying to kind of limit that meeting to, the other business that we're doing. So we may be asked to have another quick meeting like this between now and then if the TA gets enough applications in for us to consider. All right?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Mr. O'Leary, motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Gonzalez. Mr. O'Leary.
Aye.
Mr. Wallner.
Aye.
Mr. Schultz.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you. We need more meetings like this.
Record.
Thank you, people. Peace.
Good job.